briefly. Hi, I'm Katie McPhillamy. I own Live 24/7 magazines that started out 10 years ago with just one title, covering Warwickshire, Worcestershire and Birmingham, and now I own 8 of them to include Cotswold Style, Cotswolds Luxury. They're AB1, ABC1 targeted. The luxury titles major on AB1. They are based on the region, so it's good news stories, nothing negative. That's not what lifestyle magazines are about. So from one title to 8, and I also have a weekly TV show on Irish TV for my sins and my Irish heritage.
Evening, everyone. My name's Mark Reeves. I'm editor of the Birmingham Mail and the Birmingham Post. I'm the only person to be editor of the Birmingham Post twice. I'm not sure what I did in a former life to suffer that indignity. I've been in newspapers for all my working career, apart from a couple of breaks. That's more than 30 years. We've seen more changes in the past 5 years than I have over my entire career, and that is completely driven by the internet. I no longer really generally introduce myself as a newspaper editor. I say I'm an online editor. And the Birmingham Mail is the 5th largest regional news website in the UK. It's the fastest growing within Trinity Mirror. It's twice the size of its nearest regional competitor, and it's the focus of my every waking hour to find stories that delight my hundreds of thousands of readers. This might sound like heresy to lots of people. The newspaper is something that comes out at the end of the day, made from everything that we produce online during the day, and that's the modern reality for most newspapers. In terms of looking at where you want your stories to go, if you don't have an online headline in mind, something in your story that will really appeal to a social media audience, you're not going to cut it.
For ITV as the planning editor for the Central East and Central West region. I've been there 19 years and I basically just work on planning and the news desk. In terms of if anybody is looking for coverage for a TV story, you're always, first thing I always ask is, what are you going to see when a film crew turns up? So just bear that in mind to have the first picture. As I say, I've been at ITV 19 years. I used to go out reporting, and I know what a story is. I know when there isn't a story. But as Mark said, the internet has changed the way the media works. We've got our own website, and we focus a hell of a lot on that. And obviously, we're driven by the number of hits that we get. So it's not just a case of looking for a good TV story. It's what attracts those hits. So it's got to be a really good story to get on to either the ITV forum. And that's it from me, but happy to answer any questions during the evening.
It's interesting that the microphone doesn't work for the radio person here. So I'm Rupert Upshaw. I'm the assistant editor at BBC WM. So for those of you who don't know, BBC WM is the local radio station for the West Midlands, Birmingham, Black Country and slightly more outlying areas. It's interesting to hear about how everything's changed. I've been at the BBC for about 16 years now. Worked online, I've worked in telly, and most of it's been in radio and radio news. Radio is quite lucky because we're a very different medium. We're still a very familiar medium. People want to spend time with the radio. You can listen to it when you're driving. You can listen to it when you're in the shower. You can do all those sorts of things. So, but we are seeing when it comes to news exactly what the other guys have said, that people are going elsewhere for their news. They want to see it on their phone straight away. And the first thing I do in the morning is I look at my phone. So it's very important that we get things out there digitally, first of all. But ultimately, being radio, we want people's stories. We want people who can tell those stories. We want to be able to tell them.
Hi. Hi, my name's Cheryl Miller. My question really, so I think one of you in your intro said you know exactly what makes a good story. So what is it that makes a good story?
Question to start with.
You've always, working in TV, you've always got to think about pictures. You know, you can have a brilliant story, but with no pictures, I'm not going to say it won't go anywhere, but if you want it to appear on ITV, for example, you've got to think what's the first picture. We deploy camera crews and reporters every day. A lot of our journalists also are known as video journalists, so they'll go out and film, that particular story. And when they go out, they're armed with a brief, which gives them like a synopsis of what the story is, what they'll see, and who they'll talk to. So, when I take a phone call from somebody trying to, pitch a story to me, I'm visualizing what I can see when I turn up. Half the time, you'll get people phoning up and saying, right, I've got a great story. Or you'll get a big company, like Jaguar Land Rover, for instance. You know that you are going to get pictures out of whatever story they're going to try and pitch to you. Normal punter calls up, says, or I'm writing a book, and I'd like to get the media interested. For us, for TV, okay, so tell me what's the first picture I'm going to see? Bearing in mind a lot of the packages that go out on TV, or especially unless it's part of a series or whatever, they're probably 2 minutes 30 maximum. And you think you've got 2 minutes 30? That's a long time. And the length of a picture is probably 4 seconds. So you've got to think, well, how am I going to sell that story? What are they going to film? And that's the first thing I always say.
Slightly turn the answer on its head with apologies. To an extent, I can say exactly what's not a story. And you wouldn't believe this by the number of press releases I still get that fundamentally say house builders built some houses, a shop has sold some stuff, a widget maker has made some widgets. I mean, that's not a story. That's what you do. If we reported on that kind of stuff, we'd be off the air, or we'd have no audience. So it's got to be what's exceptional, truly exceptional. And bear in mind, depending on the media outlet you're approaching, we may or may not be a niche. So our readers may or may not be within your field. If they're not, if they're my audience, a generalist audience, who are juggling kids, job, work, everything else, they get distracted by Coronation Street, they like to watch pictures of cats on the internet. Just as I have to fight for their attention when they do open up my app on their phone or see a story of ours on Facebook, it's got to have that wow factor that makes them stop. So the best thing to do is to put yourself in the mindset of the normal reader. What is it that you click on when you're browsing Facebook first thing in the morning? What stands out to you? Okay, so how does your story stand against that kind of criteria? And if you go through that process, you're more likely to be able to get stuff that we're interested in.
Yeah, very much so. Like, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm patron of Ladies Fighting Breast Cancer. I'm a monthly magazine, so I started to print at least 8 days ago, and I got a press release today from a cancer charity talking about breast cancer awareness. You've missed the boat with me. But what I wanted to go back to with you is also, don't make it sound like an advert. I receive so many press releases that are just clearly an advert, and it just goes straight in the bin. I'm after a story. If you want an advert, book and pay for space. But if you've got a story, then tell it to me.
And I think it's sort of very similar to what Mark said. House builders build houses. With everything we look at, we just have to, it has to pass the so what test. And, if somebody tells you something, in my head I'm going, so what? It really, you need to think that a little bit further and think, what would interest you?
Saw this incident was filmed on the mobile about this assault. Is everybody immediately engaged by it? That's the type of thing that you need to think about. Because if everybody is engaged by it, chances are it'll get covered regardless of you.
Robson from the School for Social Entrepreneurs. You mentioned, picking up the phone to somebody or receiving a press release. What's the best way of actually getting in touch with a journalist and getting them to listen to your story? Is it email? Is it phone? Is it social media? What's the best mechanism?
There's probably not one set answer to that. I'm sorry, but I'm probably in line with my colleagues here to say that I get far too many emails every single day. But you know what? Emails are probably the best way to get through to us, much as we all absolutely loathe and detest them. But having said that, the way to make your emails stand out, just as we've said about getting to the point really quickly with the point of the story. We don't want an intro that says who you are, why you're brilliant, why you've been in business for 20 years. What's the story? You've probably got about 3 seconds. Well, you've probably not even got that because I very happily delete emails whose subject line doesn't interest me, but I can tell they're they're a press release. I'll probably open 1 in 20. That 1 in 20 then has 3 seconds to actually make an impact, enough for me to probably pass it on to the person who should have received it in the first place. And all that sounds very blasé and arrogant. It's just a fact. We have so little time to communicate. Long term, the best thing is to develop a relationship. Identify a journalist whose needs you can serve, whose story. If your story can help a journalist do their job better, then you've got a chance of developing a relationship. And then a phone call or a pint is a fantastic way to do it. But most approaches are going to be cold. I'm afraid it probably means email.
Thank you. And also think of deadlines. I'm hugely busy towards the deadline for the magazine, and I hate nothing more than somebody calling up and saying, oh, I've got a story, are you interested in hearing it? And I'll say, send me an email. Well, can I just talk to you now? No, because I'm dead busy, and if I remember your name and I've asked you to email it and you didn't, then I'll bin it when I do get it. So don't annoy people either as well. I know it's the same for all media. I've got friends that work in TV and I've got friends that work in radio, and it's all about timing. So understanding the media, understanding their timings and their commitments. So you could be just right with a story, or you can be terribly off pitch, really annoy them, and it's never going to get anywhere. So it sounds vicious saying that, but it's actually very true.
It's exactly, there isn't a single way of doing it. It's building that relationship. It's knowing who to talk to. It's knowing what they want as well. And I get hundreds and hundreds of emails every day, and the vast majority of those get deleted once I get past line 1. It's that. Here's a company doing this. I'm thinking, well, tell me what I need to know straight away. And I'm thinking about what we want and how you tell a story. Rather than exactly what you want to get out of it. I suppose that's probably something which is probably quite important tonight. Obviously, you want your name to your company, you want publicity, you want that sort of thing, you want it to change, and you want people to go to your firm. But essentially, we want to tell the story of what it is, and by doing that, we will mention the company, we will talk to you and that sort of thing, but don't put that right at the top.
Yeah. And also I was going to say, I know that they're extolling the virtues of PR companies. They've got their place, and some of them are very good. There's some not so great, but some very good ones. But you all have a brilliant advantage in that it's your business, you own it, you're passionate about it. And if you send the right email, I'd have more respect for you as a business owner pushing your own business than I ever would a PR company writing to me, because they get paid to churn out a lot of press releases. And sometimes I don't think they really consider the story. It's just I've ticked a box for my client and I've sent it out. And I sent 5 in a week and now I'm going to get paid. No, you haven't, because you haven't made any impact with it at all. For you, coming to me, writing a story about your business and what you've achieved, you go to the top of the list. So don't consider it a disadvantage to not be able to afford PR. Consider it an advantage.
Jimmy, sorry.
Just as an aside to that question, bear in mind also extraneous events. I say that because today has been a case in point for me. My inbox has been bombarded by stories regarding the party conference at the weekend. Now, if your story is not time sensitive, it would be a great benefit to, I'm sure, everybody on this panel that you wait until after such a big event.
Thank you. Mike Siegel from Property Radio. My question is really a follow-up to your point about homework and also about building a relationship with the journalist. I learned some years ago that if you took the time and the trouble to understand the house style of the journal, I don't know if this is still true, so that's my question. Is it still true that if you wrote an email in the style of the article or the program that you were actually looking to do, would that help? Would that prioritize your story or not?
It's the case now than ever it's been, it's certainly in regional newspapers, that we look at some press releases as handy ways to fill space. I think those days, if they're not completely over, they're coming to an end. And that's because we produce so much material for digital ourselves that we have more than enough to produce the newspaper, and therefore picking up a filler, a press release, which is where a lot of business journalism, and I put my hands up, I've been in this business before, a lot of business journalism does, it picks up well-written, well-placed, house-style press releases and say, oh, that's handy, that's page 23 taken care of. We fundamentally don't operate that way anymore. So it's less about house style, it's more about relevance to our audience.
Yeah, I'd agree with Mark. It doesn't matter how you write it in terms of that particular, for like our program, Central East and Central West, you wouldn't write an email trying to pitch a story doing that. It just wouldn't work with us. But if I can just go back slightly to a couple of minutes ago about, I don't know if anybody else received the same press release. It was a company who sent out an email saying they built a bomb blast proof bin, and they were sticking it outside Birmingham Council House. And you know, they were paying for the cost of it. It was costing £30,000. They built 100 ready for dispatch, and they were putting the first one in Birmingham, and there was a photo court. So I thought, you know, given what's gone on in recent months, I phoned the company up and said, you know, just tell me a bit about it. You know, have you got any video, or can we see one of these being blown up? And he said, well, we've got video of them obviously being tested. So I said, okay. And presumably Birmingham City Council know about this. You're sticking this, you know, bomb-proof bin outside the council house. Yeah, definitely. You know. Anyway, I thought, so I got all the information from him, and he told me what I could film and etc. And they've got plants around the Midlands where we could go and see one being made. So I thought, great, you know, fantastic pictures. You know, we can use a bit of library of what's gone on in recent months. I then phoned Birmingham City Council, and they did know about it, but he hadn't spoken to Birmingham City Council about him telling the media about it. He told me it was being set in concrete. No, we're not doing that. It's just a demonstration. Now, given we've got Christmas coming up, and you know, Frankfurt Market bang outside City Council House, they pulled the plug. Have I heard from the guy again? No, that was a bad bit of PR for not getting all of his facts right. So you just got to make sure you've got all your facts right, and yeah, you only get one shot, and he failed.
Yeah, my name's Andrew. Can you hear that all right? Yeah. My name's Andrew Simpson of Cosum Entertainment and Strategic Artist Management. I was interested to hear about if you're sending a press release into you guys, it's good to have a picture, you know, a photo. Is that right? We can't hear very well at the back here. Sort of an image. So if we've got an artist, for example, this guy, he's got an album coming out on the 21st of October. Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, there's an image of John Lennon here. The recording artist actually painted this. And it's a sighting that he had of John Lennon in the middle of the night in 1992. And he's had sightings ever since for 18 years till 2010. He's held his music back. He's recorded 120 songs, and this is his first album. If I sent a press release to you guys about his story, the fact that he's got a book out, he's got an album being released on the 21st of October, would it help if I put an image of that in with the press release? The story is unbelievable.
Yeah, from my point of view, if there's no imagery attached to something, then it means I've got to scramble around trying to find an image. But I would need it a lot more concise than you just said it, because if that was a press release you're writing, then I wouldn't have got to the
I am not a marketer. I'm not a PR person. That's why I'm here tonight.
Yeah, that's great. So basically, the first paragraph has who, what, when, where, how, and why.
Right.
And then the rest of it expands on that, no more than 400 words and an image. And then if you want to put little notes to editor with all the embellishments about waking up in the middle of the night and visualising, was it John Lennon also? Yeah. Then all of that is in the bottom. But sure, for me, no image, then I've got to scramble around, so I would need an image.
Top and bottom of all this is that he's got this album out. It's fantastic music. Sorry. But I really want to know how to get this across to you guys.
Do we all get a free copy? The audience want to know.
Simple rule, No picture, no story. I'll move on to one that has. I just haven't got the time.
Yeah, it's very different. So it's about the music, it's about the story, and just being, again, very concise. You know, I need to know more about this person. I need to know why, but I need it straight away. I don't want to have to go down to the third page to find out the really interesting key bit that might decide between it going on the radio and it not going on the radio. And as I say, I get 40, 50 CDs a week sent to me of, here's a new album by somebody, so it needs to stand out.
Yeah. And also, can I add to that about the relevance, as in who to go to in an organisation? For me, you wouldn't write to me. I edit the magazine, but I'm talking about Rolls-Royce, Jaguar, Land Rover, Harvey Nichols, Rolex, lovely brands like that. But I've got Bev Bevan, who reviews CDs and is on the radio. So he'd be better to send it to, and it would probably make it into his column. And Heart FM, they have a column in the magazine. So you wouldn't bother with me because it just wouldn't be of interest. But Heart FM or Bev Bevan would definitely be of interest to them. Yeah. No, they're separate. Heart FM's here and Bev Bevan's there.
Hi guys, my name is Mark Sefton. I host a radio show called Talk Business in Coventry. My question is, we've obviously focused a lot in terms of what we need to do to impress you. I'm of the impression that as journalists, you guys are looking for us. What is it that you're looking for, and how do you look for people like us? Is there certain things that you look for on social media, or is it very much that people are just coming to you and you don't even have to worry about looking for us?
Yes, of course, we look for our stories everywhere. And, you know, what a good newspaper or news brand, as I have to call us now, wants to do is to set the agenda. And that means we clearly look in all the usual places: court, crime, council, politics, business as well. But increasingly, we're looking for contributions from people who can add credibility to stories that we're already doing. So particularly in the business field, where we're doing a story on the Combined Authority, Midlands Engine, some of those big ticket stuff, which is, you know, by definition, is of interest to more people than one story about one business. However, to bring those stories to life, we're looking for voices that can bring real experience from the world of business to bear. So clearly we'll have good relationships with chambers, representative groups, FSB, you name it. Every town, city has hundreds of organisations. However, that doesn't preclude your voice from coming in and adding real insight to some stories that we're already doing, whether that's a case study or a comment, or preferably something spiky that maybe criticises a policy of a council or a government. That helps put texture around a story that we think is really important to give it credibility to the wider readership. So the learning for you from that is to be very, very aware about the issues that we're choosing to follow, big stories that we're interested in. And if you can then provide us material that complements that talks to that topicality, then we'll regard you as a very useful source. Thank you very much. You've made our job easy. Sometimes that'll be us coming to you. Sometimes it will be you saying, did you know that? So it comes right back down to that relevance. What agendas are we setting? How can you put your agenda as part of that?
Well, I think, you hit the nail on the head there. If you can provide something, a case study and a real-life example of why interest rates matter to real people and why Brexit's important to your business or whatever, that's the personal story which can make something very dry real. And if we know that you hit that nail on the head when we talk to you, there's every chance we'll come back to you, because we know A, he's a good talker, B, he knows what we're after. So you will quite often hear on the radio quite a few familiar voices, because we know we've got certain go-to experts when we need it at short notice. We need someone to talk about the automotive industry. We need someone to talk about what's going on with milk prices or whatever. And we will go back to people that we know will answer the phone. They'll get back to us and they know what we want as well.
Yes, it's a similar question to the gentleman over here, and it's really all about building a relationship. At what point do you receive somebody and say, "This is something that you want in a relationship"? And I'm kind of thinking that if you get an offer from somebody that you've never heard of, you know nothing about at all, it really would have to be phenomenal probably for you to say, "I'll take an article." But if you've had contributions from three or four, you might have ignored the first two or three, but then you think, well, this guy seems to, at what point do you say, well, this guy or this lady seems to really know what they're talking about? So now I'd like to start building a relationship. At what point do we say no? We don't want to persist any further. Can you give some guidance on that?
Yeah, it's easy. It's how easy you make my life. So, if you've got a well-constructed, well-written story or press release, whatever you want to call it, it's going to make my life easier. I can convert that story very quickly and turn around and move on. That's going to stick in my mind, so that next time something comes up similar to what you've written about, who's the person I'm going to go back to? I'm going to go back to you. You made my life easier. I welcome that. I've got really serious time constraints, so I can't afford to waste time. So whatever you do, first of all, try and engage me.
Also, you mentioned about, when do I give up? I wouldn't never give up. You've got to be persistent all the time. Even if you're phoning the news desk up on a daily basis, you just be persistent. And as my colleagues have said, you've got to be a good talker, case study, and we'll always not always come back to you, but there's a fair chance that we will do.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference, isn't there, in being a pain? There's being a pain because you're not relevant, but if you are relevant, then it's not painful. It will get picked up at some point. I think that's the point to remember: never giving up, but making it relevant. Because you may send me a story, and you may say the same story to all of us, and business-wise, they'll jump all over it. Me, it wouldn't switch me on at all. But if you wrote it in a different way, say it's a business success story, and you sent it to these, and it's all about increased sales, and I think, yeah, great, but you sent it to me, and it was a woman that did well in business, I'd be like, I'm a woman, I own a magazine, I love the fact a woman's done well. Yeah, that's the headline for me. So it's about being relevant. So then you're not a pain, you're just terribly relevant. So, yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name's Damien Huggins. My company's called Quick Capital. I'd like to just ask a couple of questions around the room if I can. How many of you run your own business or own your own business? Can just have a show of hands? Okay, so the vast majority. The second question is a little bit of an emotive question. How many of you have had difficulty or are having difficulty borrowing money from your bank? Okay, so there's a few. Last question, promise. Yeah, the last question. There's a point to it. Seriously, there's a point to it. Last question: how many people know what a business cash advance is? Just a show of hands. Do now, yeah. That's my problem. My company offers business cash advances to businesses that accept card payments, and I'm trying to get my story out there to small businesses, and I'm looking for some advice. Simple as that.
Industry, because no disrespect, what you do, but it doesn't have the friendliest of faces, does it? Anything that's loaning money to businesses, it's not the friendliest way. I'm probably judging you wrong, but you're notoriously in industry. There's been lots of headlines about loans and interest rates and everything else. So you'd probably get switched off straight away. So you would have to start with something that was like super low interest rates. That would be marvelous, wouldn't it?
It goes back to the so what question, to be perfectly blunt. If you told me you've got a business that gives cash advances, I'd say, so what? What's the next bit of that? Why is that important? What's the thing behind that? Give me a personal story about why you're doing what you did. Or give me a story of a company that you've helped that has changed somebody's life and all that sort of thing. Just answer that question. So I always ask the question, so what?
Okay. Yeah, I was.
My name's Steve. My question is around mental health and mental illness, and you said about agendas and about fitting with your agenda. We read the paper every week, the local paper, and there are probably 5, 6, 7 stories that surround kind of cancer, so stuff like coffee mornings and stuff like that. I work with quite a lot of national organisations, high-level projects, and even at that level, they really struggle to get really topical stories into the media. How would you suggest that we kind of deal with that? Is there any way that we can kind of push it up the agenda?
It's probably a long, hard slog, but it might not be as hard as you think it is. I mean, in terms of reporting of mental health issues, my industry's come a hell of a long way in just the past 5 years in terms of the language that we use, and when we refer to mental issues, they have to be in context and deliberate. So it is going in the right direction. But when it comes to coverage of charitable events, when it comes to fundraising, local papers, weekly papers, community papers are always well in the market for that. And I don't think I'd be surprised if mental health causes find it more difficult than others to raise money. I'll take your word. I'm surprised and disappointed if that's your experience. But within my group, Trinity Mirror Group, we have a policy of trying to be positive about mental health issues. The Sunday Mirror spearheaded a campaign to talk about mental health in a much more open way. Small steps, but they're moving in the right direction.
It's not much, but again, it's all about hints, isn't it? One day a non-story, the next day a story, and that would be, you say you're struggling to get coverage, but then when His Royal Highness mentioned mental health, all of a sudden that just makes it a super sexy story for everybody, doesn't it? So it's a case of also picking your timing. So one day yours is a non-story, the next day something may happen in the media, some celebrity may be touched by it, somebody's made a statement about it, and all of a sudden you're really very relevant, and that's when you would probably start hitting your media with your press releases.
Yeah, picking up on that point, there's been a case just this week. The cricketer, Jonathan Trott, his story is being published in one of the papers, and he's touching on the issues that have affected him. Now, there's a God-given opportunity for you to get in touch with somebody. If that's the area of mental health that you cover, the topic is currently hot. It's got a big name attached to it. Obviously, he's a Warwickshire player, former England player. He's got a very high profile. That would give you an opportunity to try and sell your story. But what I would say to you is, have you applied any of the principles that you've heard tonight to try and get your story published?
Sorry, this isn't just me. This is the experiences of pretty much a whole area. People like mine and Time to Change really struggle sometimes. If things are kind of done as a feature, they find that easier. But to try and get stories out, just finding it really, really difficult. So it is really helpful to kind of hear what you're saying. And I'll definitely feed that back to my colleagues and stuff.
Can I just say, sorry, I'm sure you will get time to get some new questions.
Thank you. So my question is, I just want to go back to what you were talking about before in terms of the structure where you have a reporter, an editor and a researcher. The publications I'm trying to get into, things like The Economist and whatever, I'm finding it very difficult to find who the editors are, who the researchers are and the journalists. Have you got any advice on how to find that information and how to reach those people?
Well, there is a media Bible, isn't there? Does anybody on this panel remember the name of it? Yeah, well, I think supposedly, doesn't it? Yeah.
Hi, I've got a question. You've talked a lot about the changes that have happened, especially in regards to everything being online. What do you think has changed in regards to pitching your story? Because everything is online these days, everything happens a lot faster, everything is published straight away. Do you think that a lot has changed because of that? You talk a lot about things being online these days, and that a lot has changed because of that. I'm wondering, has the pitching changed because of that as well? Because everything happens so quickly right now, everything is online straight away. Has the approach of pitching you, has that changed? Are there any other ways of pitching to you, or?
Yes, it has, and I think we've discussed lots of the reasons for that, and the pressures that raises. My focus on online audience, as you say, is very, very immediate. We could discuss forever whether that's good or ill for journalism. It just is. But one thought occurs to me. 3 years ago, most of our information were coming through email and phone calls. Now we probably get 50% of our story tips through Facebook, because one of the biggest ways that we interact with our readers is through our Facebook page. We've got more than 200,000 followers of that, similar on Twitter. And one thing we didn't envisage was how much our readers would use that to communicate with us. And that generates a lot of stories. Now, the same rules apply to that. If you wanted to approach us through Facebook and put comments on stories, then relevance, relevance, relevance. Otherwise, we will block you. If you come on and just, people do, they come on to comment threads on Facebook and try to put adverts for their products or companies. Block, block, block. However, when a relevant post is made that's helpful, that aids the discussion, and maybe leads us to think that's a really interesting story, I think that's maybe modern pitching, to be fair.
Yeah, and of course, I think it's not necessarily pitching stories. It's where we find stories as well. We're always looking, Twitter, Facebook. We're looking on social media, and we see things that all of a sudden we think that's a story. If you get bombarded with my company, look at my company, look at my company, it's blocked straight away because pitch it. What is the story? Talk to me. Tell me what I need to know, rather than just tell me what you want to say.
Can you hear me? Hi. Well, first of all, before I do, I have to say that I'm furious. Because on Monday, it was the one day I wasn't available to do what I do at 2 p.m. every day, which is get a cup of tea and do my PR requests. And Rachel took the one on Monday for The Secret, and now she's in the Daily Mail. And it's something that I do every single day, so I feel like she stole that one from me. But yeah, this week I have to say I've spoken to Cosmopolitan magazine. I've spoken to someone from the Mirror on the way here in the car today, just because as I was leaving the house, they said, I'd really love a happy story. I'm so bored today. It was literally at 2 o'clock, and I saw that one, and she came back to me at 4, and I said, well, I haven't got a happy story today, but I'm a matchmaker and I'm a dating blogger, and so perhaps you find it interesting that I'm a lovepreneur. And she said, great. So she came back to me straight away on Twitter, and then she was asking me lots of questions whilst I was in the car. She wanted a snap as well, so I sent her a picture. And I also forgot to ask which newspaper it was for, and she said, perhaps the Mirror or something like that. And I just thought it's wonderful. So the past week I've spoken to Cosmopolitan, the Telegraph, the Mirror, and also someone that writes a magazine for over 50s. And so I'm going to be working with her on scaling her business and adding value to her clients, which will generate leads for me for dating after 50. So this is just literally through not doing anything crazy, but just by having a cup of tea and doing the Twitter responses at 2 p.m. every day. So that's true. I'd say so. It's just a crazy time at the moment. And since working with Rachel, I didn't really know beforehand, even though I've got a great business and yes, I charge an awful lot of money for finding love, I didn't know how to connect with journalists and tell them what my story is. And so I just went for it. Sorry? He's lost his looks though, hasn't he? No, we'll get to the bottom of it and then see if he's eligible, shall we? So, yes, I've had an awful lot of TV shows contact me this year, and I was actually, I don't know if you saw that terrible TV show, which I probably shouldn't say, Dating with Celebs. Did anyone see that? And it was like Joey Essex and all of those. He says yes. So they wanted me to perhaps be on the TV show as doing a running commentary, but I didn't end up making it there. But what they did was have me as a consultant to the TV show. So that's a fabulous thing to have on your LinkedIn. You just don't really know what opportunities will come of it. And so that was kind of working with Rachel privately just to position myself as the expert, which I just really didn't know how to do. It's all right. Question for me or no?
Hi, I saw you speak last week at Brett's event, and I followed your advice, and I'm now doing an article with the magazine and have got a regular blog spot, and that's in less than a week. So I just wanted, it does happen really quick, so...
it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit. Me get up, first shot, come strut walking. A little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious. Somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. Nope, y'all can't copy yet. Bad, we're walking. This here is our party. My posse's been on Broadway, and we did it all way. Chrome music, I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on. Let that stage light go and shine on down. Got that Bob Barker suit game and Plinko in my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on from my town. Trust me, on my INDEPENDENT shit hustling. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the 4-track bustin'. Halfway across that city with the back question. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country.
Here we go back, this is the moment. Tonight is the night, we'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Here we go back, this is the moment. Tonight is the night, we'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Now, can I kick it? Thank you, yeah, I'm so damn grateful. I grew up really wanna go fronts, but that's what you get when Wu-Tang raised you. Y'all can't stop me, go hard like I gotta eat it within my heartbeat. And I'm eating at the beat like it gave a little speed to a great white shark on shark. We raw, time to go off, gone. Deuces goodbye, I got a world to see. My girl, she wanna see Rome. See, so make you a believer now. I never ever did it for a throne. That validation comes from giving it back to the people now. Sing this song and it goes like, raise those hands, this is our party. We came here to live life like nobody was watching. I got my city right behind me. If I fall, they got me. Learn from that failure, gain humility, and then we keep marching.
And we go back, this is the moment. Tonight is the night, we'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Back, this is the moment. Tonight is the night, we'll
Okay. Yeah, actually, it was about hula hooping. The request. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I do juggling and hooping. Yeah, it was a request that came through on the normal requests at 2:00, and I got in touch with the person and said yes, I'd be interested in helping. That was at the end of last week, and then last night I ended up with a half-an-hour interview on the phone. And this lady is a blogger, and she's recently been asked to blog 2 or 3 times for the Huffington Post. And now there's probably going to be a story about the hula hooping granddad on the Huffington Post.
Thank you for that. Hi, good evening, everyone. Nice to see loads of Brummies here. I do a lot of podcasting, so I'm used to interviewing people. But I have to say, I was kind of browning myself when it came to mainstream media, because I'm a bit controversial, so I wanted to make sure I don't step on too many toes and upset too many people. And what was interesting was that Rachel introduced me to one of the presenters, and actually we developed a relationship in terms of I've helped him. I won't mention his name just in case. But I mean, he's doing radio production, and I helped him with my own line of work. He got such a great taste for it, and he wanted to become a TV presenter. And today, he got his first screen test today. So I think for me, it was all about developing that relationship. And then they invited me in to go and talk. I think it was about, I can't remember the topic now, but they went, I went into the studio, did a bit of talk. They've been invited. No, actually, that wasn't the studio. It was a telephone interview. And they liked it. It was succinct, only 2-3 minutes long. And they've asked me several times. And then what was interesting was, Brexit, there was a lot of hoo-ha around that. So there was a lot of anger, especially in this country. So I just put out a short release of my own saying, look, there's a lot of anger going on. People perhaps want to calm down. I've got some ideas. And it was passed on around. And one of the producers picked it up. They asked me to go into the studio. They loved it. I mean, we talked about mindfulness and meditation and stuff like that. And actually, they loved it so much, they asked me to go into the BBC London. So it's kind of like spiraling, kind of out of control. So it's been very useful. But it's also, and I think the key thing is that I didn't use this as a way to promote my business. What I was doing is, like building a relationship with them. And then when I mentioned it in social media, which is really where my clients hang out, people on Facebook, I picked up a lot of clients indirectly that way. So they saw that I was on BBC, and in their mind, they thought, this guy must be credible. I don't know if they're right about that or not, but they turned into clients. So the idea is, I think the big thing is, do not try to sell it, which is what Rachel did was help coach and guide me to doing it. Even though as confident as I am, you still get nervous.
You were going to talk to me. Well, should I stand up? So you can see me. The story goes back to 2013, actually, and I was just transitioning through different careers and trying to build a story. So I came to an event like this. I think it was in Solihull. And Rachel was talking, and I thought, oh, it's a great way for me to get to understand PR and form my story and get out there. So we started working together, and within about a week, a journalist contacted me to go through my story, to go through what I was all about. And that then ended up in a national magazine that's got a circulation of about 400,000 readers. And I just thought, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I got a phone call out of the blue from BBC Radio WM saying, oh, we've seen your story and we need someone to come in and talk about, the topic that the article was about. It was a completely different story to what I do now, by the way. And that was just literally just through this one article. So I phoned in. It was a phone-in on that occasion. But what they did was they kept my details on file, which was just amazing. And then I got another phone call out the blue from Michelle Dawes, who does a Sunday morning show, and she says, "Oh, would you mind coming in and reading the newspapers with me?" I don't read newspapers, but yeah, sure, I'll come in. So there was a thick pile of newspapers, and since 2013, I think I've been on Radio WM probably about 4 or 5 times. They've called me in just out of the blue. Can you come in, read the newspapers? And it was a chance for me to, chat to the audience as well. It wasn't really particularly my audience at that time, but it was a great way to just connect and get used to being on the radio. But I'm on their books.
Sorry, it's something I forgot to say before. Last week I was having a rant to Rachel about how I'm getting so many inquiries at the moment because people think they can find love before Christmas, and it's absolutely ridiculous. There's only like 13 weeks left, and who doesn't know who they are? She went, well, it's a press release, Sarah. It's a press release. Get it out there. So I sent like a bit of a rant to all the journals in the database, and then I got a response the same day, like 6 hours later, from LBC saying, we are so delighted to hear this. We can't wait to contact you. We've added you to our little black book as a dating expert. And it was just because I'd ranted, and she said, well, why are you telling me? We just send it out to them. So I just wanted to say, I forgot to say before.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay? Okay, so I'm Mo. I'm from a company called Brightlet, which is an online innovative platform that connects landlords directly with tenants. We recently won the English Asian Business Awards for Best Online Business of the Year, 2016. We have been shortlisted in another award, the MBCC Awards, which is basically a local award for Best Business Startup of the Year 2016. We have also been shortlisted in the Birmingham Awards, which is another local award as well, which we were finalists for. So so we're just trying to get our brand out there. We've already won an award recently, and we've got a couple more coming up. So yeah. Thank you. No? It's not a story? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the difference that
Right.
you make with your business? I know you
Okay.
connect landlords,
Yeah.
but is it to keep it? Do they spy on them? What's the
No,
story?
no. So we connect landlords directly to tenants. So it's a online platform that basically it's a brand new thing. Online platform. Landlord uploads a property to the platform. Tenant goes on and applies for the property. Landlords can then create things like bespoke tenancy agreements or upload their own tenancy agreements. A message center as well. There's also a fully audit trail. The financials of any expenses can be uploaded as well as a landlord. We also have developed a traders platform which allows, say a tenant has a problem within the property, they can upload a problem to say a burst pipe or in a picture, which goes to their local traders, which can go on and come and fix the job.
So is it perfect? Is it perfect for people that are renting properties in a different part of the country? So
Anywhere.
you can be a
It's
remote
national.
landlord.
It's national.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the hook then, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's-
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's go. No, go for it. Yeah. 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 Yep. Well, wouldn't that be based? Yep. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
There's two things: is who you're talking, who you're trying to tell the story to. If it is a rental magazine, then do what you've done. You know, your awards, why you're doing so well. If it's to me or to someone local, tell me why you set this business up. What made you do this? You don't look very old. You're obviously doing you're doing very well. So it's a bit about the story of what actually made you do it, and the difference you're making in people's lives.
Yeah, I could do that now if I got a chance. Is that okay? Yeah? No? Cool.
I'm Joseph Vaughan, and I am the youngest chocolatier in the UK. I'm the youngest chocolatier in the UK, and I've got my own business in Solihull.
I'll say it. We're all saying the same thing. We missed what you actually did. I don't know if it's because you move it away when you say
sorry.
it. But yeah, sorry.
Chocolatier.
Oh, how did I miss that? I love.
You're in.
I'm hooked. We love you, Daddy.
So last June I finished my GCSEs, and it was my birthday in the August, just after, and we opened the shop on the 4th of September last year. So we've just celebrated our first birthday.
Presses lots of
I
buttons.
was going to say, pardon the pun, but it's got all the right ingredients. Is that?
Yeah, But are you based in Birmingham? Solihull will do a story on you next week. Give me a card. I mean, seriously, you're local, you're young, you've got a story. If you don't like chocolate, you're alien. So, you know, all of that works. It's definitely worth a conversation.
I'll beat him. I'll do one this weekend. Seriously, it ticks a lot of boxes. It really does.
Okay, so my story that I've written on the board. The first thing I wanted to say is there are some very poor public speakers in the room. It's too loud. Is it too loud? Is that better? Can you all hear me? Okay, so.
Do you want to try this microphone? Should we just swap microphones? Is that an issue?
Is it this one? Is it me? Am I just so powerful? Okay, so I'm okay here. Job of my programming and my conditioning and how they are at odds with my authentic self, I've begun to build up my authentic self, which has meant that my programming and conditioning has loosened and continues to loosen, and I continue to unearth new parts of it that are not in alignment with me. So my journey is to become more authentic, to become more me, connected to me.
Really, no, I don't. You talked about what you've done and your sort of journey, but I don't know what you do. You deprogram people. That's
yes.
What I get.
So I'm a therapist. I'm a yoga teacher and I'm a therapist.
Right. Okay. That's a bit...
And I also do public speaker coaching, which was where I came with my first few comments, but the microphone wasn't playing.
For TV or for Central News, I can't see it working, to be honest. And that's not knocking what you do. It's just, like I said at the start, you send a film crew out and a reporter. What am I going to see?
Yes.
What's the first thing they're going to film?
So the thing that would be of use to something like that would be obviously a success story of a client. So one of my clients, the very recent success was in one session we cleared his fear of pigeons, and I had him standing in the middle of Trafalgar Square with pigeons on him.
There's a story there. You help somebody overcome the fear of pigeons.
So it's client specific are the stories. Right. I appreciate.
But it's having. Sorry,
I was going to say, a case study. When anybody tries to pitch a story, always think of what you're going to see. Case study. If you've got those two elements, and the person's a good talker. Yeah, definitely. I must admit, I'm interested in the young chocolatier. So we'll have a chat afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a Friday night. Okay, I help people keep warm. Yeah? Sorry. Okay, is that better? I help people keep warm by turning down their central heating. I have a product that goes on the floor under their feet, and they can exist quite happily if they're sitting at a desk or sitting in a chair. So I got onto an innovation slot on Radio 2. I'm going back to the comments earlier about pitching to the right journalist, the person who's looking. Yeah, I made their job easy. They were trying to fill a slot on innovations. I had an innovative product, and I just emailed directly. I didn't even do a press release or anything like that. I just got in touch and said, look, you need to cover this because it does help people. There will be a lot of interest, evidenced by selling everything out.
I mean, we the same when I'm just trying to think. When I used to work down in Worcester, the guy who invented the magic whiteboard got in touch before he went on Dragon's Den, and he said that we got this idea. It was really, he had a good idea. We talked about it. He had talked about his business. The next thing he knows, he's at Dragon's Den. Things have gone through the roof, and it's a story that we followed and gone back to. But if it's a good idea, if it's a good story, and it's it's a bit quirky, something you keep under your feet to keep you warm. It's interesting.
Can still be a story, even if there's the emotional side of it. I'm guessing isn't really there.
Yeah, and again,
in this case,
part of that would be to find out a bit about your background, why you invented
why I got
something
into it, yeah.
that goes under your feet to keep you warm. Is that? Are you a heating engineer? Or I don't know, but these are all the sort of things.
But I work from home, and it's ideal for people who work from home because you're sitting in one place most of the day, and you don't want the central heating to.
I'd be potentially interested. Obviously, it's coming up that time of year again where a lot of OAPs can't afford to have the heating on, still want to keep warm.
Yeah.
And it would probably feature in part of a wider story about how heating bills are rising. And if there's something out there that we could come and film, we'd be interested.
Yeah, so heating bills are rising, but also more people working from home. There's this huge movement, as we all know, for people to work remotely, which is great on your own time, but when you're paying the bills to heat the house that you sat in. So there's two great angles that you could go at, maybe.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No, I was just going to say I'm coming at it from a slightly different perspective because I'm a business journalist. Yeah. So I'd be curious to find out what made you do it, the success behind it, and what you're going to do from now. Are you going to develop more products?
It's a simple product. It does. There is no need for another.
I mean, do you see yourself as another Dyson? Are you going to develop more products, more innovation?
No, I didn't invent the thing. I just brought it into this country. I came across it in America and South Africa.
Yeah, but nobody else
wasn't
did.
available in the UK.
It was a product that was out there. Anybody could have done it, but you were the one that did it.
Yeah. So that's the story. Okay.
Okay, so my name's Jack Skinner. I work for a local charity called Sport for Life UK. We help disadvantaged young people aged 12 to 25 into education, employment or training. The recent success in the Olympics, everyone has got a buzz for sport. We use sport as an engagement tool and a hook for young people from deprived communities within the city of Birmingham to get into work. Youth unemployment is huge within Birmingham at the moment, as well as the story around gangs, gun crime. We've seen a recent rising shootings within Birmingham, so we are trying to help those young people through the power of sport into work and prevent them being involved in that kind of situation, really. And also, it's our 10-year anniversary next year. No, yeah, definitely. I suppose within that there are loads and loads of individual case studies from young guys who have gone homeless, drug dealing, and now we've got them into full-time work and in permanent employment now.
Somebody that would, cheers, Mark, if you've got somebody that is, will stick their head above the parapet and actually talk about, what they were involved in beforehand, and now they've turned their life round, and then we can come and film them. That's another one we're potentially interested in.
Okay, bro.
I was just going to, I really do like the story. I interviewed, what day was it? It was last week. Two of the best 4x4 by far. So the two gold medalists, the boys, the rowing team.
Yeah.
Two handsome hunks right up here. I was down here. And one of them, he's the first Muslim gold medalist rower as well.
Yeah.
Mo, great guy, but he said if it wasn't for the squad coming and knocking on the door and saying your DNA and your stats say that you're tall enough and big enough to win a gold medal, and he'd never even gotten a boat. He said he didn't know where he'd be in his life. And actually, all of that he said to me is exactly what you're saying, because he didn't know where he'd gone. He said he literally didn't know where he'd gone. So it does change lives. And at the moment, I think with the Olympic legacy, we're so excited in 2012. And everybody's saying this legacy has to live on. Did it live on? Whereas actually people like you, if you attach it to that, it is like an Olympic legacy. You're not part of the Olympics, but Christ, you're sport and you're young and you're travelling on the back of it. So link it together. And it's a nice story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, hello. I'll do it the other way around than what I would have done before. Yep. So my name's Naeem. I run a business called NA Consulting Limited here in Birmingham, the greatest city in the country. The kind of things that we do is probably epitomised by a story I'm about to tell you. We've just finished a project with a window manufacturer in the South of Midlands, and after 19 years of being in business, they were probably going to go out of business. We're talking about 33 people losing their jobs, 33 people who probably have got nothing else to go to because of the wrong side of 42, 45 years old. So they approached us and talked about...
42, be very careful.
I'm 43 myself. So what we do is we work with small businesses, preferably in the Birmingham Midlands area, who have got into phase 2, phase 3 of their lives. So not really startups. And what we do is we try and push them, try to grow them, and we try to help them. Now, why we do it is very interesting from my point of view. I spent 20 years working for big management consultancies. I've also come from a large retail background. I mean, I was working on a market store when I was 15 with my family. And about 3 years ago, I saw one of these Facebook pictures where there's a butcher's board outside a butcher's saying, when you're working with big corporations, you're buying someone another yacht or another mansion. When you're working with small businesses, you're helping someone get piano lessons or something more real. And I think that turned me, because I sort of thought, I'm sort of fed up of getting charged out at a very large rate and probably not doing what I can do. And I get a lot more out of working with smaller businesses. I don't want to be disrespectful, but smaller businesses being businesses which have got 15, 20 people.
Let me stop it there then, because we've gone way over the 60 seconds. Is there a story there potentially? And why not have
There is a story there. You started to tell it and then you went off again. What I'm interested in is the company that you've helped. If you've helped secure the jobs of 33 people, that's 33 people that are going to have a much happier Christmas than otherwise. That will engage me, will engage my readers. Okay? I think what we would do effectively is to put the cart before the horse. So we talk about the business that you've helped and then go back to you and explain what you do. But yeah, I think that there's a story there. I'd be interested in knowing more.
I think what you managed to do was exactly what we described, which is to really centre on what the story is. Too many people, when pitching, we've seen a couple of examples tonight, think they and their business are the centre of the story. Frankly, we don't care. We don't care yet. So to get us to the point where we do care is to tell us the kinds of stories that we've just heard then. What's the point of what you do? And to go right back to the beginning, none of us really care about awards. Not interested, unless it's the Birmingham Post Awards, which are very important. but frankly, that's just waffle in a press release, because we want these kinds of stories.
I'm trying to help women. Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to help women create their ultimate intimate relationship, because I know that what has stopped women creating their ultimate intimate relationship in today's modern society is because they haven't created that polarization behind closed doors. We've tried to be more like men. And the reason that happens is through various things. But what happened to me was, when I was in my young teens, I was raped multiple times. And I'm sorry if that's a very harrowing thing, but I'm sure there are probably some other women in the room that have suffered similar things. So how did that affect my future relationships? Well, we all possess masculine and feminine energy, believe it or not. But if you're a woman, usually your true, authentic energy is your feminine energy. It's not always the case, but usually if you're in a heterosexual relationship, that is what you are. But quite often, if you've been through trauma at the hands of men, or if you're trying to succeed in business, you look to men as role models to succeed, so you step into more your masculine energy. And if you are then bringing that behind closed doors, it doesn't create that polarization. So your man is usually relating to you and feeling you as either another masculine energy in the room who is very strong. And in my relationship with my ex-husband, I was totally in control of that relationship, and I wanted to be totally in control of that relationship, but there was no passion. In fact, I was a cold, frigid bitch, to be honest. And the reason for that was because I was wearing this suit of armor. I was in my masculine energy. I didn't know how to be my true feminine self.
Yes, definitely. We have all human life in our pages, and some people in this environment think I'm pitching for the business pages. Well, the best way to get a story through is to actually talk to people in the context within which they can relate to the story that you've got. Human interest stories, as we rather cynically label them, because we label every different kind of story, that engage with our readers because of their emotional power, are fantastic for us, because we want to present that whole gamut of human life. Through telling that, and it's an extraordinarily brave step that you've clearly made in the past, continue to make, that our readers actually actively want to help and support that. They like to see people demonstrating how you can recover, you can turn things around. There's almost like the byproduct of that is the details about your current business, in a way. But by telling it in that way, I think the impact of that would be really, really powerful. And we'd love to talk to you.
just to add to that is that the bit that got my ears is when you spoke right at the start of what happened to you, and your business has come out of that, and it's a sort of part of the story. But I suppose the bit that automatically grabs people's ears is somebody being able to speak, and how much you can speak about it as well is something we need to talk about, and there's all sorts of things about anonymity or whatever that we need to do. But equally, once you got your foot in the door, and we know that you're a relationship expert and someone who tries to help women understand men and men understand women, 3-4 months down the line when we said we need somebody to talk about understanding the other sex, there's somebody in our mind straight away. And I think that's a really important part of what we do, and getting your foot in the door as well.
I was just going to say that, and my hat off to you for raising that as a story, because there's not many women that can talk about it afterwards. So you are incredible. But what I would say as well is a lot of people will get lost in the emotional side of your story, and quite rightly so, because it frames you and it's made you who you are today. But don't ever lose sight of the things that you've just said, reducing divorce, domestic violence. I underlined those within your case study, but when you just did that emotional piece, and I can imagine how when you've got a story like that to tell, it can just flow. So sometimes it flows and it's not strategic, but I would make sure that you always involve those words, because that's so many different headlines. People are always on about domestic violence. People are on about divorce. I mean, why should solicitors make so much money out of divorce when you yourself just said you feel you can make an impact on it? So wonderful emotional story, and my hat's off to you, but don't lose all those really good bullet points in telling your story. But very brave woman. Well done.
Yeah. My story is this. I lost my job in 2008. I was diagnosed with epilepsy. I lost my job because of it. And I picked myself up off the floor. And through my daughter, who did 2 X Factor finals, I got involved in entertainment. And through her and her experiences in meeting people within the business, I just drifted into this entertainment world. And now we're putting shows on, we're doing Hollywood Balls. I'm on the verge of having an album coming out, as you know. Basically, that's my story. I was on the floor in 2004 with epilepsy. I had fits in my sleep. I don't have them anymore. I've got a positive mind. I'm in the twilight of my working life. I'm 61. There you go.
Yep. I mean, we've heard you a couple of times tonight, so you've had a bit of practice, but it's definitely paying off. As to the nub of the story, need to know exactly why I should invest a reporter's time talking to you. Not quite sure whether we've got that yet, because I couldn't see the salient point. Clearly, you've turned your life around. How can it stand out for my readers? I'm not quite sure.
I want the world to know my history, to be honest.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Hi, my name is Thuy. I'm an eye specialist in Birmingham. I am a born and bred Vietnamese, and I love Vietnamese food. Do you know Vietnamese food is actually the healthiest cuisine in Asia? And I'm passionate and on a mission to bring Vietnam closer to the UK and tell the UK how healthy the Vietnamese food is. So I've come up with a product idea which is called the United Soups of Vietnam, authentic stock cubes flavored with no MSG preservatives. I was recently chosen by Channel 4 in My Kitchen Rules UK, which is a TV program which is due to be aired in 3 weeks. I would be so grateful for any your support, especially with my future crowdfunding campaign to make my product become a reality. Thank you.
Little bit of advice. Are you from Birmingham? Do you live in Birmingham? You do. We are famous for our foodie scene. We have many supportive chefs. Glyn Pennell is probably one of the most approachable men you could go to. So why don't you try and pitch up on his door, tell him about your story, and see if he'll support you.
Thank you. Right, okay. Good evening. My name's Amanda Bourne, and I am absolutely passionate about helping local businesses. I've been working for 5 years with local businesses. I have sat on bid boards, town teams, and this evening, before we came here, I was actually at a historic meeting in Nuneaton where I brought together the MP, the council and the county council, who were all on opposite sides and never talked to each other. I am determined to help the High Street. I follow the Mary Porter's review of the High Street, and to help with that, my business is a local discount site which helps local businesses to promote to local people. Thank you.
Yeah, probably for people in Nuneaton. So that's where you need to pitch it. You need to pitch it to the local paper. No, but if you've got the MP sitting down with the council and that sort of thing, and what difference it's going to make to people in Nuneaton, BBC Coventry and Warwickshire would do that story. Yeah, so there we go.
Just a word of advice. Don't use words like passionate. Yes, but it switches us off. Yeah. Everybody is passionate about their business. If you're not, then you shouldn't be in business.
But that's not my business. That's voluntary.
No, but you stood up and you said I'm passionate about help. Don't.
Okay. All right.
Hi, I'm Jay, and I help people to feel better, achieve more, and have fun doing it. So 10 years ago, I was completely stuck in a rut, stuck in a job that I hated, completely different to how I am now. I was kind of like really like sickly, ill, and I just had no confidence. And basically through fitness and through martial arts, it literally turned my life around. And now I try and help people to do the same and help them discover their own journeys and their own kind of, basically their own story of what they can deliver. The problem I have in the fitness industry is there's so many like scam things out there, so many dodgy products and diets, and there's too much focus on image and not enough on what people are doing. So our mission is to help people achieve more and actually do things that are challenging to them. So for example, this year we took 30 people to a mud run, and 20 of them had never done that before, never thought they could achieve that before. But what we do is provide a platform where we'll boost their confidence, help them feel better, and understand that they can do these things if only they put their mind and their bodies to it.
Yeah, potentially. I can't, always say yes, but potentially. I just, I hate to be boring and repeating myself, but if you've got a good case study, somebody who's been in a bit of a rut, and will talk about their story, their journey, and how they've turned their life round and how you've helped. But we'd want to see also something visually in terms of filming. It's great talking to them, but if you think, in TV, the average news story is probably 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and you've got to, and you're taking probably, I might do an interview with you, it could last 5 minutes, but I'm taking a 20-second soundbite out of that, and probably a 20-second soundbite of somebody else, and then you write your VO round it, and you've got a 2-minute piece, and you let the pictures breathe, but your pictures, I want to know what I'm filming.
And I think a lot of that is down to the person. You just sit up there, confident, eloquent, very passionate. So I didn't. No, and that's it. You didn't have to say it. As Mark said, you didn't have to say it. You could see you were passionate about it, and the fact that you're eloquent. You're there, and part of that is again, it's getting your foot in the door. And it might not necessarily be to talk about the thing you want to talk about. It might be further down the line when we need someone fitness instructor or someone to talk about why it's important to stay fit. So that's really important for us.
Can I just to add to that, when you first started, and no disrespect to anybody in the same industry as you, but there are a lot of people that will have a backstory like you and have turned into that. When you got to the end part about the mud run and the fact that somebody's probably gone from a couch potato, dare I say it, to doing a mud run, that was the impressive part. So if I'd have seen that, I'd have been interested. But the way you started, no disrespect, I wasn't as interested. But at the end, I really was. So reverse it.
Okay, we do a double act. Teresa Farrell, proud owner of Push on Wellbeing CIC. I was very saddened 2 years ago at a big public health meeting. The majority of people dying at an early age in my community of Chelmsley Wood was the highest in the North Solihull. I cried leaving that meeting. I'm crying now, it was yesterday. And I've started my first Push on Wellbeing programme in the north and the south of Solihull, and it's helping over 84 people at the moment who have backgrounds of refugees, homelessness, single parents, single people, employed schools. It's helping everybody. POW, Push on Wellbeing, will be in every community in 10 years' time, in every school, in every workplace. I need to come to Trinity Mirror. I'm a past employee of Trinity Mirror. I'm so grateful for the 4 years of experience because that has helped me bring this Push on Wellbeing program to the world.
Well, one of the levers to press for a local regional newspaper, such as the ones that I represent, is that locality. And I have quantifiable numbers of readers in Chelmsley Wood and Solihull, so immediately I've got a connection there. Whether the programme actually can have a dimension that we can report on, will come out of a discussion at some point. Yeah, potentially.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Anna Aries. I have from Company Leisure, but just before I setting up my company, I have started by following my passion about property, and specifically by designing and building my holiday homes. So as a result, I got approved 4 to 5 star caravan and mobile home park in Portugal. But the project is in Portugal, and then I realized that I need to have something to sell in UK to start raising income into my business. So last year I have launched a brand new imaginative shelter for play, rest, or fun. So this is this beautiful and practical inflatable ladybird that comes with a climbing steel frame that will help children even at young children at nursery, for instance, to develop their climbing skills and also their confidence. The climbing steel frame is not built yet, but the ladybird has been built already. This year I have launched a new version of this inflatable tent that is a bee tent, together with PCB's nurseries as well. They love it. They love the idea. And it comes as well with a climbing steel frame. And just to finish, in my last event, yeah. Okay. Yes.
And what I put on your paper, if I won't just flick back to it, I know what I put. What's your story? I didn't know what your story was. You've got so much to tell, but it's just a story and there's no linchpin for me. So is it the fact that Glastonbury really love your kids' tents and they're going to have them there next year or something like that?